Hey everyone, it's Mary from Mindful Movement with Mary, and I'm here today to show you some self-massage techniques with foam rollers. So normally when I bring you self-massage techniques, we're using the role model therapy balls, and that is my preferred method of doing self-massage. However, there are times when I like a foam roller, and they're a very common household self-care item. A lot of people have them, so I wanted to give you a few ways to use them, and hopefully that'll help. There are many systems of doing self-massage with foam rollers. I am not trained in them. I'm not an expert by any means, but these are ways that I use them on myself. So there are also many types of foam rollers. This is just a really basic, dense foam one. It's short. I probably got this at, I don't know, Target or Walmart several years ago. They're very common and easy to find. This is a longer one. It's quite long and it's softer. And I do prefer a softer foam roller if you have a choice, because when we're massaging our soft tissues, I prefer a softer tool. I think it makes more sense. Sometimes a really hard tool might do more harm than good, but everybody's body is different. So if you have a really dense, hard, even wooden foam roller and it works for you, then just keep on using it. Don't worry too much about it. All right, so the first technique is for the back, and it's spinal extension. So I have the foam roller here perpendicular to the spine, and it's going to rest right at the base of the shoulder blades. So right where the little wingtips of your shoulder blades are, maybe a little bit higher, almost halfway up. It's going to depend. And you just lay down over the foam roller. Keep the feet planted on the floor, hands clasped behind the head. And you just lean back over the foam roller. So this is giving you some spinal extension. We're reaching the spine back, and that's really healthy and good for the spine, especially in the thoracic region where we are, because we have a tendency to get stuck in this hunch position. So here we are giving it the opposite, and so we're increasing mobility in these spinal joints. Good. So after you've come up and down a few times, you're going to want to press into the feet and roll the roller down just another inch or two, so you're in another segment of the spine, and then lean back again. And breathe. And you can work all the way down the spine this way until you get to the low back. It's not going to work quite as well in the low back, and plus we really want to work the thoracic spine in this area, which is the rib cage area. Good. All right, so that's the first technique. It was given to me by a physical therapist years ago. It's a great technique, and I do it almost every day still. The next one I'm going to show you, I'm going to use the long foam roller for this, and this time it will be parallel to the spine. I'm actually going to lay the spine down on the foam roller. And the reason why I'm going to use the long one here is because I want the sacrum, the hips, and the head to be supported by the foam roller. And this is just a nice chest opening, restful position to be in. It's comforting to the spine because you are supporting the full length of the spine. I'm getting a good stretch through the pecs, the front of the chest here, so this can be nice to do at the end of the day. And it's just a resting posture. Sometimes I like to lean a little bit to one side and then the other side, sort of providing a soft rocking wave-like motion to the spine, which again is very comforting to the body and the nervous system. Yeah, that feels so good. Great. All right. And roll to one side, come all the way up, and we'll work on the thighs. So the thighs are a very common place to foam roll because they are broad and very muscle dense, so the broad tool like the foam roller works really well for them. So I'm going to start with the quads. The quads are the muscles on the front of the thigh here, and I'm going to start with the foam roller a little bit below the hip creases. So if you were to bend the hips, this is the hip crease here, I'm going to start just a little below that. So I'm laying down on the foam roller, and then I'm just going to move up and down the quads. I'm going to go all the way to the top of the knee. I don't want to go over the knee, but I do want to get down close to the knees. You can see here if I bend how close to the top of the knee I am, because the quads do actually go down and attach under the knee, or beneath the knee, I should say. Good. And so you can go as slow as you want here, and there can be a lot of sensation with this technique. It can be unpleasant, it can be pleasant, depending on the state of your quads and your foam roller. So going nice and slow. You can even bend the leg, play with activating the muscles that you're stretching, and then releasing them. That can be a nice way to pin and stretch the tissue. Good. All right. And then the famous IT band, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people get a foam roller is to massage the IT band. So for that, that's the tissue that's on the outer side of the thigh here. I'm going to straighten the bottom leg, which is the leg that I'm rolling, and then I'm going to place the top foot either in front or behind the other leg, whatever's comfortable. And I am supporting myself on my arm. I could come down to the elbow if I wanted as well. And again, here you can roll up and down. I'm going to roll all the way to the top of the knee, and then all the way to the side of the hip bone here, the greater trochanter. And even here, you could pause when catching a tight spot, and then think about twisting the body forward and then back. So I'm trying to pin the tissue and stretch it in one direction or the other. You could also play with bending that bottom knee and straightening, because the more pull I can get through the tissue, the more effective the treatment will be. It doesn't really help the IT band for me to just squash it down. I'm actually trying to mobilize it, because it has a tendency to get very stuck to the surrounding tissue. Good. All right. You can also work through the side ribs if you have a soft one. I would recommend a soft one, and I recommend starting further up and toward the back, so you could be working on the lats. So there's some side almost to the armpit and a little bit down. Avoid those lower few ribs. They are floating ribs, so you don't want to put too much pressure through them. But you could definitely work on the lats from here. And again, I would probably do some twisting to try and pull that tissue forward and backward. And going back to the thighs, you can do the hamstrings and the calves as well. You can also do the glutes. It's a little trickier sometimes, but you could try rolling the outside of the glutes, just as long as you stay in the meat of the muscles here. So hamstrings, back of the thigh, from the sitting bone to the back of the knee. You can roll them just like you rolled the quads. You might not feel like this is as effective. I feel like the hamstrings need a lot of pressure, and I can never quite get enough pressure this way, but it's a nice way to warm up the tissue and then maybe do some stretching. And lastly, for the calf, just roll it down. You don't want to roll through the back of the knee. It's a sensitive area for most of us. There's a lot of blood vessels and nerves that go through there. So calves, back of the calves here, and then you can actually cross one leg over the other leg to add intensity of pressure. That can be very effective. And again, here you can always pause and flex that foot, point the foot, just to pin and stretch the tissue a little bit more as you're working. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Feel free to experiment, see what works for you. And like I said, there are many systems that use foam roller as the basis of doing self-massage, so you can certainly check out those systems and see if they work for your body. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Namaste.